The rain falls. Soft, unhurried. It has no memory, and yet it reminds us of everything. There are moments in life, quiet, almost hidden, when something breaks inside a man. Not loudly, not with fire or shouting, but with silence. A silence that lingers. Forgiveness. Yes, forgiveness is often spoken of, as though it were a door one can simply open. But there are wounds that are not doors. They are abysses, and what falls into them never climbs back. He will never forgive you for this one thing. Not because he is cruel, not because he refuses to try, but because something inside him was touched. That does not heal in the way we imagine. It is not betrayal in the ordinary sense, not anger, not the usual storms of jealousy or pride. Those can be soothed. Those can be weathered. No, it is the breaking of respect. The moment a man looks at someone he once trusted, and he sees them different. It may be only a gesture, a word spoken at the wrong time, a truth revealed too late. It may be the weight of indifference, the sting of mockery. It may be silence, when silence was death. And suddenly, the image he held, the one he cherished, shatters. You see, the human soul does not live by logic. It breathes through images, through symbols, through the fragile fabric of meaning. When that fabric tears, no explanation can sew it back. It is not about the event. It is not about the details. It is about the collapse of an invisible bridge. And once the bridge falls, the river is too wide to cross. He will never forgive you for this one thing, because forgiveness requires a place to stand. And when respect is gone, there is no ground beneath the feet. We imagine forgiveness as a grand gesture, but often it is simpler. It is the willingness to remain, to still recognize the other as part of ourselves. When that recognition disappears, when the other becomes a stranger, forgiveness has nowhere to live. Time passes. Years soften edges, blur colors. We grow older, slower, quieter, but some silences remain sharp, like glass, like frost in the lungs. You may not even remember what was said, what was done, but the soul remembers the moment of collapse. It remembers the breaking of the mirror, and no matter how carefully the shards are gathered, the reflection will never be whole again. It is not about vengeance, not about punishment. It is about the deep, fragile dignity that every soul carries. Once pierced, it closes inward. It does not rage. It simply withdraws, like an animal retreating into the forest, never to be seen again. He will never forgive you for this one thing. And perhaps it is not meant to be forgiven. For not all losses are meant to be repaired. Some are meant to stand, as stones by the river, markers of where the crossing once was. And maybe, in time, you will stop seeking forgiveness and begin to listen instead to the quiet echo of what remains. This is not a tragedy. It is not the end of all things. It is simply the rhythm of life, the law of the unseen. Where something dies, something else awakens. When respect vanishes in one soul, it may awaken deeper respect in another. When love ends in silence, a quieter love begins with yourself. And forgiveness, true forgiveness, perhaps is not his to give, nor yours to receive. Perhaps it belongs only to time. He will never forgive you for this one thing. And yet, you must forgive yourself, not to erase the past, but to walk again, to breathe again, to return to the center of your own being. Because the soul is not built to stay forever in loss. It is built to rise, slowly, like dawn, after the longest night. The night is long, longer than we admit to ourselves. And in that long night, memory keeps watch. Not the kind of memory written in journals, or spoken over dinner tables, but the silent memory of the soul. a memory that lives beneath words, beneath thought, beneath explanation. It does not forget, not because it clings, but because it is. Think of an old man sitting by the river. He does not recall the faces of everyone he met, nor the exact shape of every year, but he remembers the few moments that bent his life forever. Moments of wonder, moments of fracture. This is how the soul remembers, not the thousands of days, but the one silence that cut too deep. Forgiveness. We talk of it as though it were a light switch, on or off, given or withheld. But it is not so. It is more like a season. It comes, it goes, it may return, or it may never. And when that season does not return, when the tree remains barren, we call it unforgiveness. Yet even this word is too sharp. The truth is gentler. Something has closed, and it will not open again. Age teaches this. For as we grow older, we see how many doors close quietly behind us. Friendships once warm, grown cold without reason. Loves that no longer burn. Houses abandoned, never to be entered again. So it is with respect. Once lost, the soul does not rebuild it, not because it refuses, but because time moves forward, and the bridge lies in ruins. To cross again would be to pretend. The river never swallowed it whole. He will never forgive you for this one thing, not because he hates you, but because what died in him is not something he can resurrect. And if you listen closely, in the quiet, in the rain, you will hear that it is not even personal. It is simply the way of the human heart. It trusts until it cannot. It loves until the thread snaps. And when it breaks, it does not return. This is not cruelty. This is not punishment. It is truth. And the sooner we accept this truth, the gentler we become. For when we stop demanding forgiveness, we begin to understand the silence. And in that silence, there is still beauty. There is still depth. There is still the echo of what once was. Not erased, but transformed. Time passes. The man grows older. His anger dissolves. His voice softens. His body bends. But that one thing, that single fracture, remains untouched. A stone at the bottom of the river. It does not move. It does not erode. He will live with it. You will live with it. And perhaps that is enough. The soul does not ask for perfection. It asks for honesty. It asks for the courage to carry what cannot be changed. And in carrying it, you will discover something new. Not forgiveness, but compassion. Compassion for him. Compassion for yourself. Compassion for the strange, fragile thread that binds all human lives. What remains is not bitterness. It is not despair. It is something quieter, a stillness, a surrender. And in that surrender, perhaps you will see that the story is not about forgiveness at all. It is about respect, about the moment it lived, and the moment it died, and the life that continues, even after. There is a room inside each of us, a room that no one else can enter. It is quiet there. It is dim, like candlelight. And it is in this room that the memory of what cannot be forgiven is placed. We do not open that room often, but it is there, always there. For him, this room became part of his home. For you, it became part of your shadow. And so life continues. Two houses side by side, each carrying a door that will never open again. In youth, we imagine every wound can heal. Every door can be unlocked. Every mistake reversed. But age teaches something else. Not everything heals. Not everything reopens. Not everything returns. And strangely, this is not a curse. It is a form of mercy. For without endings, We would never know the shape of life. Without silence, we would never hear the breath of the soul. Without distance, we would never discover the way back to ourselves. Loneliness is a teacher, not the loneliness of empty rooms, but the loneliness of carrying something no one else can see. You may sit at a table filled with laughter, surrounded by voices and warmth, and still feel it. The stone in your chest, the quiet in your bones. It is here that forgiveness hides, not in words, not in apologies, but in the ability to live with what cannot be undone. There comes a time, late in life, when you no longer chase reconciliation, when you stop asking if the bridge can be rebuilt, when you accept that some rivers are meant to remain uncrossed, and instead of trying to walk back, you turn forward. You walk into the forest of yourself. You walk into the open field of solitude. And there, unexpectedly, you find peace. Not the peace of resolution, but the peace of surrender. The peace of knowing that the story, with all its fractures, belongs to you. Perhaps he never forgave you. Perhaps he never will. But forgiveness was never the true destination. The destination was silence. The destination was stillness. The destination was the discovery that you can live, even with the weight of stones in your river. And in that strange acceptance, a new kind of beauty is born. Age does this. It softens the sharp edges. It does not erase the stone, but it teaches you to walk around it, to live beside it, to watch the water flow past it. And one day, you may even notice that the stone looks less like a wound, and more like part of the riverbed, part of the shape of the stream, part of what makes the song of water unique. He will never forgive you for this one thing, but in truth, the story was never about his forgiveness. It was about your return to the room inside, your return to the silence, your return to yourself. At the end of all things, when the body grows still, when breath becomes shallow, when the final dusk settles, forgiveness no longer matters. All the words spoken, all the silences kept, all the wounds carried, they dissolve into the vastness. The one thing he could never forgive, you realize, was never meant to be resolved in this life, because some truths are too large for the human heart. They belong not to men, but to eternity. The soul, when it leaves, does not carry grudges. It carries impressions, echoes of love, shadows of loss, the texture of its journey. And perhaps this is the secret, that what we call unforgiveness is only a form of unfinishedness, a fragment left behind, waiting to be completed. On the other side of silence, imagine two rivers, flowing side by side, never touching, never crossing, and then, at the end, they pour into the same sea. The stones, the bends, the rapids, all forgotten. Only the vast water remains. So it is with souls. They may diverge. They may fracture. They may hold wounds against each other for an entire lifetime. But in death, all rivers meet. All separations collapse. All things are returned to the sea. And so you see, it was never about his forgiveness. It was about your path, your solitude, your acceptance. And when the end comes, you will both be released, not through apology, not through reconciliation, but through the quiet surrender of life itself. The fire has gone out now, the rain has stopped, and the night is deep. But in the silence, there is no despair, there is no punishment, there is only the echo of what once was, and the gentle knowing that even the things we could never mend become whole in the great stillness beyond. He will never forgive you for this one thing. But life is not built upon forgiveness alone. It is built upon mystery, upon endings, upon the strange beauty of carrying wounds, until the very last breath. And in that breath, even the unforgiven are set free.